And on our hotline right now, we have one of the most famous NBA players of all time. I'll give you a hint. His nickname, Tiny. Ha-ha, Nate Archibald. Nate, how we doing today, Nate?
Pretty good.
Hey, Nate, in town for the AT&T Legend Shootout, huh?
Yeah.
Can you explain that to us, Nate?
Well, JoJo's been winning for the last couple of years, that three-point shot. But I don't know if he's going to win it this year. I think myself, Randy Smith, George Gervin, and JoJo White is in it. It's almost like the three-point shot, and it's a game of horse, and we're going to see who's the best shooter for now.
You know, they talk about, and I grew up watching Tiny Nate Archibald play basketball and JoJo White and Gervin, and you just mentioned those names along with Randy Smith of Buffalo. And they say how strong the NBA is today with talent. The names you just mentioned, they don't have to take a backseat to anybody playing today.
No, not really. I think what's happening, it's kind of like the generations are making the game a lot better, more exciting, and also more difficult. When you look at when I was playing in Cincinnati, and we used to come up here by bus to play the Cavaliers, the teams, we didn't have that many teams. Now you have 30-plus teams. They're looking to expand some more. I think that when you look at the players are younger, coming out of school younger. They're bigger and stronger. But most importantly to me, they're multi-talented players. And what I mean is when we were playing in the 60s and the 70s, and I don't like the number system, but you were either a point guard, off guard, a small forward, a power forward, or a center. Well, there are guys that are playing in this league now. I don't know what position they play, like a guy like Michael, Scotty, Olajuwon, who's supposed to be a center. I see him going between the legs and behind the back and faking guys, shooting jumpers, going inside, but handling the ball. I think the best players are the multi-talented players, like a Penny Hardaway, who does so many things on the floor and can master all the positions. And those, to me, are the ultimate basketball players.
On our hotline right now in town, Tiny Nate Archibald, one of my all-time favorites in the history of the NBA. Hey, Nate, you did something in the NBA that people say is sort of like they oppose each other. You led the league in scoring and in assists. Now, they usually say if you lead in scoring, you're a ball hog, and you're not going to have very many assists. Yet Nate Archibald did both in one season. That's pretty good, Nate.
Well, I was fortunate and lucky. I think if you look at the teams back then, we probably, to me, had the all-time greatest player in the NBA. That was Oscar Robertson. Unfortunately, I never got to play with Oscar. I always played against him. He was in Cincinnati when I was in school. Before I got to the Royals, they had traded Oscar to Milwaukee, which hurt me because with his tutelage, Nate Archibald wouldn't have led the league in scoring and assists, but I would have probably been a more complete, experienced guard under his tutelage, but he was gone. Kuz took the team. He decided that he wanted more of a transition team, which was to my liking. Get the ball to the point guard, okay, and get down the floor. I think the game has changed a lot where you have what I call multi-talented players, and yes, there are point guards and there are off guards, but you have guys like a Grant Hill, who I saw play in high school, basically was a small forward, and now he plays all the positions on the floor. So if you have those type of players, not that the point guard is extinct, but I think when you have more players on your team that can handle and do the things that that they are capable of doing, it takes less pressure off of you as a point guard, because when people are putting pressure on you, you can give the ball to somebody else and they can bring the ball up the floor. I was lucky and fortunate to be in the right place at the right time, and that's probably why that phenomenal thing happened for me.
We're talking here on WTAM with Nate Archibald. Nate, you can do me a big favor, okay?
Sure will, if I could.
Yeah, you could do it. I don't know if you want to do it, but you could do it. You could settle an argument here for me that's we've been going back and forth for a few years. If Nate Archibald had the number one pick to start a team in the NBA, and all these players were 22 years old, and I'm going to ask you about two, which one would you take? would you take a 22-year-old Wilt Chamberlain or a 22-year-old Michael Jordan?
Well, most people try to go with the foundation, and not Michael's is not the foundation, but they would probably go at the center or the pivot. What Michael is doing now, I think that, if you look at Wilt's records, he was doing when he was playing. But like they say, you can't teach height. I would go for, a player like Chamberlain who could dominate, rebound, block shots, and could score. When Wilt was playing, and I played against Wilt when he was with the Lakers, and when he was not in his declining years, but he was a lot older, and he was still dominant back then. I don't know if there will ever be a player and they say Shaq is the reincarnation of Wilt. I don't believe that. I think that Wilt could just take over a game. He's proved it against New York when he had scored 100 points. But he did and if you look at the records, he's holds so many records, assists, rebounds, scoring. I would have to go with Wilt. Now, Michael is the most exciting player that I ever saw, but I never played against Michael. But I would go with a player like Chamberlain because he can make so many things happen in the paint.
Tiny Nate, Nate Archibald, when you were given the name Tiny, okay, the nickname Tiny, you're 6'1", aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, why? I mean, I understand. I mean, we have Terrell Brandon in town now who's under 6 foot. We had Mark Price that was 6 foot tall. I mean, you're talking about now in the 90s. How did you receive the name Tiny? Even though 6'1" is small as a basketball player, it's really not that small even today's day and age.
Well, true enough. And people who, when they hear that, and they always ask me, I said, I inherited that name from my dad who was 6'2". He was tiny, and then, matter of fact, I was little tiny. Okay, he was big tiny, and I was little tiny. So I got it from my dad, and I think it was an appropriate name when I got to play in the NBA because I was so small. There were still bigger guys in the league when I was playing, but the name Tiny just rung a bell, and it was appropriate because of the game that I was playing amongst the Giants.
Nate, when you were here in Cleveland, you got good memories because you were an MVP of an All-Star game.
Sure was. Yeah. Great memories. and when I started my NBA career with Cincinnati, we had exhibition games against Cleveland. I still have some good, even though we played against each other, I still had some good friends on the Cavaliers. Austin Carr, Jim Brewer, Jim Jones. Those guys were from the back east, and we played on the same summer league teams, even though we didn't play on the same teams in the NBA. So we became good friends. Before and after the game, we were good friends. When we got on the court, a little different story.
Sure. We're talking with Nate Archibald. Nate, last question. We'll let you run here. Do you kind of wish your parents would have waited about 10, 15 years to have Nate Archibald with the money that they're throwing around in today's day and age?
Well, the money is great. I mean, if you can make that type of money, I think it's great. A lot of people say, well, you could have played, why don't you go play with, and not my last team, but the team I played and had some good years with, besides Cincinnati, was the Boston Celtics. They said, well, they need some help up there. I said, I'm too old. And everybody has their time, and I had my time. I had a good run. I lasted longer than some of the experts. Some of the experts said Nate Archibald could not play the professional game. I played for 14 years. I had a good run. I played with some good teams, some bad teams, but I enjoyed my playing, and I'm enjoying watching these young guys play now.
Nate Archibald, welcome to Cleveland. I hope you enjoy yourself this weekend.
I sure will. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you.